It's as if I was this porcelain figure that was enveloped by the darkness. Whatever was on the other side allowed me to not shatter from the pressure that I was experiencing. Everything that was behind that veil is just strengthening me, moving me from porcelain to iron. The bad gets transmuted into the good. The good becomes the more apparent state of your mind. And when you see the goodness a lot more than the goodness will point towards the clarity of what it is that actually brings you happiness, peace, and contentment in life. Hello and welcome to Productively Mindful. My name is Alanda Schultzes. I hope you enjoy your stay here. I hope you find value in this video. I want to talk about passion. And unbeknownst to me, it's something that I have discovered by going through the complete lack of passion, the numbness of feeling, of experiencing a path of greater good, just not really enjoying life at all, being stuck in a 9 to 5 that wasn't a 9 to 5 at all. It was more like a 7-Eleven every single day, just working ridiculous hours, getting burnt out, started smoking again. I remember I was getting depressed. I was getting really tired and overwhelmed, and just every single day going to work, I was anxious because the training that I received, I remember at my last job, was really poor. It was a job that I had in a pension fund, and they basically, it's the amount of responsibility that I had in that job was ridiculous, and they gave me essentially a job that should have been split between two people, but half of that job I had to learn on the spot. And when you work in a massive pension fund, when you're looking after a pension fund, that is a huge responsibility alone. But then when you get another pension fund added to you, and when you have to figure out how to properly account for everything that happens in that pension fund without losing millions of pounds or dollars, however you want to call it, in the process, because stuff does not reconcile or balance properly. When you have auditors constantly on your case, just chasing updates and feedback in terms of how everything is working out and what the figures are looking like, and you have no idea what you're doing, it is terrifying, it is scary, it is very challenging, it's very stressful. And I feel like that was a point where I was absolutely riddled with negativity. I was so overwhelmed by negativity, and that was probably one of the biggest moments of my life in terms of emotional suppression. I just could not cope with the pressure that I was under on, and I had no choice but to suppress what I was feeling. And I must admit that even before that point, I struggled to find passion in something that I wanted to do. I usually would jump on to something that I get excited about. I stick to it for a couple of weeks, and then I lose interest. I just drop it because it takes a lot of effort. And the jobs that I was doing were already quite a bit of effort. They were quite mentally intensive, but it's not an excuse. People manage to make it work in similar situations. I just did not have passion. And what became apparent is that I did not have passion, not because I struggled to find passion. It's because the predominant emotions that I was feeling were not good emotions. I was numb to the full spectrum of what I could feel. I was numb to experience of life. Because I was numb to a lot of emotions, like any emotions that cause some sort of discomfort, some sort of difficulty, as soon as I get to a point where what I'm trying to achieve, or when I'm trying to build something new, as soon as I get to a point where it's difficult, I just shut down, I get overwhelmed, and I stop doing what I'm doing because it becomes too much very quickly. Because I have not learned how to regulate myself, how to sit with those emotions and observe them and be present and understand that it's a natural part of the process, natural part of trying to build something greater, something bigger, something that's going to give me a lot of peace and contentment in what I do. So it used to happen all the time. I try something new, I do it for a couple of weeks, I get a roadblock, I get overwhelmed, I drop it over and over again. Kept doing it over and over and over again. And that's another reason why I kept pivoting in my coaching journey as well. I kept pivoting from one thing to another until finally found my passion. And the way I found my passion, I think, is just realizing that I have to actually start getting accustomed to my emotions, that I cannot suppress them any longer. And I need to start getting familiar with what it is that I feel on a daily basis. I started meditating more. I started journaling about myself and how I feel, and being truthful and honest, because you cannot lie to yourself. If you lie to yourself, you know that you have lied to yourself. You will never be able to trick yourself. So just being truthful and honest about how I felt and understanding why I felt the way I felt, building a good knowledge base, knowledge bank of the way my mind works, the way I experience life within the framework of my body and mind. And the more I started getting accustomed to my negative emotions, the overwhelming feelings, the sensations, the more my baseline emotional state started moving towards a higher frequency, you could say, towards a more positive state. The more I moved to that positive state, the less of a hold those negative emotions had on me. Now, that's not to say that I don't get overwhelmed, I don't get into difficult situations, I don't shut down in certain scenarios. It's still very much the case, and I still have loads of work to do, and I still have loads of progress to make. But where I am now to where I used to be is a completely different world. Me staying strong and moving forward in this journey of self-discovery, understanding where that passion came from, while trying to solve my exile of feeling alone, feeling the sense of loneliness, by focusing on building an online community, by helping people to not have to go alone through the journey of self-discovery and emotional well-being, by wanting to build a community that's completely self-sustainable and off-grid, where people can enjoy the fruit of their labors by working on the land and making sure they can sustain themselves by using what the land provides. All these things are moving me away from that exile. They're putting me on a path of greater good. And once you're on that path of greater good, when you're doing your absolute best to get yourself in a better state of mind and presence and nourishing your very being, getting aligned with your very deep self, the universe provides. It's something that I really struggle to get my head around, the fact that the universe is unconditionally supportive. But honestly, the more you do the right work, the more you align yourself with some sort of a passion that moves you closer to your purpose, the more apparent it becomes that the universe will provide. I actually posted a post on school yesterday, or a comment rather, where I was talking about the journey that we experience. And I feel like so many of us, if not all of us, start with the sense of having a fear of failure as we're moving towards success. But as we persevere, as we stay true towards what we're trying to achieve and what we're passionate about and what we feel our purpose is, the closer we move towards that success, that then we move from fear of failure to noticing that there's something beyond that fear, then seeing that there's a very small sliver of success, then noticing that that success is getting bigger, then we notice that that success is within an arm's length, it's almost in our reach, and then you reach that success, and success is there. And I feel like I'm at that point where the success is at arm's length. I can almost taste it. I can almost smell it. I can almost touch it and reach it and grab it. And it's all because I just started working on myself. I found that passion. I took a huge leap of faith. I decided that if I'm gonna become a slave to this 7-Eleven job that I had, where I was working ridiculous hours, I was absolutely shattered in a horrible state of mind. If I'm gonna do those hours and help the rich become richer, why don't I put those hours into myself and develop something that I absolutely love, that brings me joy, that brings me contentment, that brings me love for what I do, that gives me the freedom that I want? It was just a no-brainer. So that resentment that I had for the position that I was in allowed me to step past that fear. It's as if I was this porcelain figure that was enveloped by the darkness, and I managed to squeeze through the darkness, and whatever was on the other side allowed me to not shatter from the pressure that I was experiencing by protecting me from what I thought will absolutely destroy me. Everything that was behind that veil is just strengthening me, moving me from porcelain to iron, moving me from iron to, I don't know what's stronger than iron, some sort of a stronger material. You know, I just keep getting stronger and stronger, better and better. I feel like I'm understanding myself more and more. And I feel like it's also important to know that the more you understand yourself, the more things you will find about yourself that you need to understand, until eventually you get to a point of liberation. Might not happen even in our lifetimes, and that's a completely different thing that I can talk about. It's going to be a rabbit hole that is never going to end if I keep talking about it in this video, and I don't want to babble too much, but the journey to liberation is very long, very difficult. It takes a lot of practice to develop a very strong equanimity of your mind. And I feel like it all starts with finding a passion, something that you're passionate about. And in order to find that passion, you need to start working on yourself. You need to start working on yourself so that the bad gets transmuted into the good. The good becomes the more apparent state of your mind. And when you see the goodness a lot more than the badness, the goodness will point towards the clarity of what it is that actually brings you happiness, peace, and contentment in life. And that's how I found my path. And that's how I know that I am aligned with what I do. That's how I know that I'm working towards a very strong purpose. And that's how I know that that purpose is going to give me the ability, the chance to actually change the world, to create something new that's going to completely change at least a small portion of society. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to achieve. And I'm going to stick to this path and stay on it for as long as I can to be able to do that exact thing. So I hope you find value in this video. I hope this speech will encourage you to try and find your passion in life, your purpose, by actually doing the hard work to be able to start seeing that positivity and the overwhelming negativity, the numbness that you might be in. I have a free community where I talk about stuff like this all the time. If you want to check it out, the link is going to be underneath this video. Just click on it, or depending on where you watch this, comment energy underneath this video, and I'll send you the details on how to join. There's a bunch of stuff that's happening there, a bunch of value that you can get, like weekly group meetings, exclusive content, a bunch of daily themes that are happening there as well to help you accumulate that positivity and grow in terms of understanding yourself and getting closer to that liberation. So, like I said, it's completely free. Check it out. Also, if you can engage with the content, that would be amazing. If you'd like to click the like button, maybe share the video, subscribe as well, and leave a comment as well. Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Maybe you disagree with the fact that passion is as important as I think it is. Maybe you think there's different ways to attain your purpose and a sense of passion. I would be very interested to know your opinion about the topics that I talk about. Otherwise, this has been Leland Schulzes from Productively Mindful. As always, I love you all, and I will speak to you all very, very soon. Goodbye.